Hey everyone, sociallynina here, and today I'm going to be talking about Microsoft Forms. So if you have Office 365, there are a lot of things that come in Office 365 for absolutely free that I just don't think a lot of people are taking advantage of. So you have like Microsoft Teams, you can do meetings, you can, use forms. There's a lot of things. Sway, all of these apps can help you with your business, and small business owners are signing up for Microsoft and then using other apps and paying for those. So I am going to introduce you to a couple of apps that I absolutely love. I used to train Microsoft Teams when it first came out. For a couple of years, I was like the guru when it came to, that just sounded so cheesy. I was a guru when it came to Microsoft Teams, but I absolutely loved it. So anyways, Office 365, we're going to jump into how to use forms. Since this is free, you can use it to collect data. You can look at charts. You can set different security. So let's jump directly into this training. If you want any other videos and training about Office 365, because I don't do a lot of training on this channel about Microsoft, but I absolutely love it. But if you want more videos on that, just let me know. Ask about the apps. Let me know what type of videos. If it's the only thing I don't want to do is SharePoint. I'm tired of SharePoint. But if it's anything about Excel or Outlook or calendars or bookings or Sway or OneNote or Teams, I got you. Just leave a comment below and I'll create some more videos. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is navigate to Forms. The easiest way to do this is just to go to forms.office.com. And once you get here, notice this is the same as actually going to the waffle up here or the start menu and clicking on Forms. And you still have all of your Office 365 options on the left. We're going to create a new form. Notice my recent forms are here. I can also view my pinned forms and any forms that are shared with me. Okay, from the drop down, if you don't want a form and you actually want a quiz, you can start there. But we're going to go ahead and create a form. Now, some of these items are going to be pretty straightforward. A couple of things about this is if you want to add an image, you can click here. Now you can upload an image from your desktop, select it from OneDrive, or even search Bing. And so if I search for the word feedback, I can find one. Let's just do this one and see how this fits. There you go. Now there's an image to the left of the title feedback form that'll come in here. Now, as you're adding different questions, you're going to add the type of question. Here's a tip. If you are doing a feedback form, try to do mostly choices, ratings, or something that's going to like a like art. The reason why, or even net promoter score, if you don't know what that is, I'll talk about that in just a second. But the goal is at the end, what you'll see is that there are charts that tell you can look at the data as a whole and not just by individual people. But let's go ahead and choose a couple of fields. So the first one's going to be choice. Now I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this part and then I'll come back and explain all of these different options. So let me just go ahead and add a couple of different types. All right, so I've filled out a couple of questions in my form. So let's go back through and kind of look at the types. So one of the things I want you to notice is there are different sections. So you can actually duplicate an entire section, move a section, and add branching. Branching is when you ask one question, like, would you rather ride a bike or go on a boat? And then when you select ride a bike, then it will say, well, what kind of bike? A motorcycle bike, a two-wheeler, whatever, right? So that's called branching. We're not going to go through that in this area, but just to let you know, you can actually go through that and have people jump to different sections. Now, this is an option, right? So you can just update your options here, type in, I wanted to, or I was forced to. Right? Now, one of the things that you can do is when you're using the options, or when you're adding a choice, rather, when you're using choices, you can add the other option and people can add text in there, right? So I'm going to go ahead and delete that for now. Or actually, let's go ahead and add other option. You can add additional options there. And then as you're going through, anytime you see these dots here, you can move it around to the order that you feel is necessary. You can always delete a question, duplicate a question, move it down, right? So this is going to put the name first and move it down again. The email has jumped up in front of it. Now, if there's multiple answers, meaning that person can say, I was forced to and I wanted to, you can do that. And then you can make this a required field. And then there's a couple of additional options down here, which means when you shuffle options, that means not any particular order. I want it to change just each time. Some people do that to make sure people aren't just selecting the first one by habit, right? And a couple of additional options. Now, as we're going through, I want you to remember that if this is an internal questionnaire or form, you don't necessarily have to put name or email address. Office 365 is going to pick up on the name and email address if they are a user. But if you're sending this form externally, you do have to include the name and email address. Keep that in mind, right? Okay, these are just text fields. If it's going to be long answer, like you want them to answer a paragraph or describe something, you're going to want to change this to a long answer. Let's go through. If you want someone to rate the course, right, or rate something using stars, you can actually select your symbols or numbers, and you can select, is it 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 5, right? Again, you can make it required, and there are a couple of additional options here, which will allow you to label, like maybe 1 star is hated it, and then this one is loved it, right? So that's up to you if you want to add that, okay? Month, date, it allows them to select a date, but you can always go in here and change the format and all of that. One thing I want you to keep in mind also is as we're going through each of these fields, on each question, you have the option of inserting some type of media. So you can add an image, or you can even add a video explaining, okay, when you rate this or when you add the date, please make sure that you select whatever, right? The first date you attended, blah, 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 right? So I'm not gonna go through all of these field types. I just wanted to make sure you understood that we're different types of fields. There's a couple of things like when you use your Likert scale, that gives you the ability to kind of create a table. So, a lot of times people will use this where you have to do, very likely, unlikely, all of that. Depending on the question, it will give you suggestions, or you can edit these to whatever you like, or even delete one if you don't need that many columns, or add a column if you need to, right? All of these are really, really easy to do. Now, the Net Promoter Score, this is really, side note outside of this, basically this is the end all be all what you should be looking at. Basically, would you recommend this to a friend or colleague or a family member or whatever, or how likely are you to? Some people put yes or no, some people put 1 through 10, whatever. But this is usually the most important question when you're doing surveys or feedback surveys, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and delete this section down here, okay? And what I love about this is it gives you an estimate of how long it will take people to complete it. What's great about this is you can tell people, oh, complete this 4-minute quiz, right? And so I'm going to click on add, and it tells you how much time it is. All right, so when you're finished, you have to get responses. So let's go ahead and preview it first, right? You can definitely send it out just like this, right? It's fine. You can preview it in computer or mobile. Love it, love it, love it. I'm gonna go back. If you want to add a little jazz to it, a little pizzazz to it, I don't know why I cracked myself up. I'm gonna go ahead and click on themes, right? Now here's, when you click on themes, there's a couple of different themes that are here, and these can be good, right? You can just use it, and just gives you kind of the background image, whatever. If you don't like them, you can do a solid color, or even upload your own image in the background. Usually I just keep it to something kind of simple. And so there's also personalization, again, that you can do by just uploading it here, okay? Now let's get to the nitty gritty, the settings. Dun, dun, dun. Don't ever send out a form without checking the settings. A lot of times the things that people are complaining about, it's because they didn't check their settings. So I'm gonna go click on the details and go to settings. couple of things. Can anyone respond or just the people in your organization? So if you're sending this outside of your organization, meaning they don't share the same email address or whatever, you're going to want to select anyone can respond. Or you can specify specific people, and if you're doing it within an organization, and say that they can only respond once, okay? We're gonna do anyone. Since it's anyone, we do need their name and their email. Remember I told you that? All right, let's go. Options for responses. So we're gonna actually accept responses, but what's great is that you can say starting, maybe this is an application for something, and you can say, we're taking applicants, January 1st through the 30th. You can actually set a start date and an end date. Okay. Remember the shuffle questions. If you want questions, all of the questions to come at whatever, just kind of random order, you can do that. You could also show a progress bar. This is only available when you have multiple pages, when you want to show the progress bar, because it goes at the top with multiple pages. Now, after they fill out the form, there's a thank you page. What's great is you can do a custom message. A lot of times, if you think of like forms, you can say, oh, thank you for filling this out, or here's your free prize, or if you want more, click here. So you can put all that information here. So I'm just going to say, thank you for taking this survey. Click here for your free gift. Here's one of the things, a couple of options about the responders. Allow receipt of response after submission. This will send it to them, and then get an email notification for each response. You can do this. If there's going to be a lot of responses, I wouldn't check this. You can actually use Power Automate. So this used to be Flow, if you knew what Flow is. If you want me to do a video on this, let me know, but you can automate almost anything in Office 365. But instead of actually getting notifications here, you can actually set up a flow or do, kind of some other notifications. But we will go ahead and leave that on for now. Let's look at your sharing options. Now, again, we have it set to anyone can respond. It gives you that option again. I'm going to go ahead and do a short URL. I still would take this and make this a bit.ly link, or I use pretty links on my WordPress site. I have videos on both of those on my YouTube channel. I'll leave the links below, but here's just a quick link so you can send this out. What I love is QR codes. So if this is something that you want to, for instance, I'm doing a local training, right, in Lawrenceville, Georgia on Instagram, and another one on Canva where people can come. So I can actually create flyers, put this on the flyer, and put flyers everywhere, or even mail it out in a post office, whatever it is. So this QR code allows people to scan with their phones. Super duper cool. You would download it. It's just an image. You can put it anywhere, poster, whatever. So here, this is an iframe, and what this allows you to do is embed it. If you want to put this on a web page, on your site, anywhere, it's not going to be a standalone. It will be embedded into that site, or you can email it to people. This is usually used when it's internally. You can share the templates. That means other people in your company, maybe there's another department, they need to use it, or if you want to share it with somebody else who might use this feedback form, you can get the link and it duplicates it. It's not actually giving them the responses, it's just giving them the template of questions, right? Collaborate is when you want others to see, and actually it says it right here, when they actually want to see the responses. So be careful with this. This is if you've set up the form and you want other people in the company, maybe a boss or a colleague or someone who's backing you up, to see the responses. Again, this one is the template, so they can use the template. This one is the responses, okay? All right, let's look at the form. So I'm just going to take this link, copy. I'm actually going to go into incognito mode so it won't recognize my login. And this is how the form would look. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out really, really quick. Okay, so I've filled out 2 so far. I just want to show you a couple of things. One, this was my thank you message. Thank you for taking this survey. Click here for your free gift. See, it's a clickable link. This will allow them to submit another response. Maybe they have to submit it for multiple classes or something like that. There is an immersive reader, which I love, but let's go ahead. I'm going to do a couple of responses just so I can show you how this works. Okay, so I'm back to the homepage, forms.office.com, and you'll see my feedback form. What I love is that right here, you're going to see your responses, how many responses you received. And you can actually pin this. So if this is something that I'm going to, used frequently, I might have it as a pinned survey, right? And then also I can always move this to a particular folder or a particular team, right? Or group rather. And then anything that's shared with me, I can see here. So let's go ahead and click on this. And this is why I'm going to actually jump into responses. This is why I told you that you really should try to have questions that are choices or Likert or anything that gives kind of a rating. Because what this allows you to do is, and I'm just going to go down, this is showing everyone. There's Tyrone, Michael Jones, Michelle Jackson, and there's actually 4 responses, so it's not showing everything here. But your response here on your feedback form is you're just going to see overall kind of what the averages are. So this is the average of people, who were forced to versus they wanted to. This is the average rating, the dates that they took, and it just gives you some really good insight and graphics that you can right click and save as an image if you'd like, right? I could also click on more details and see each person's response, right? Notice the name says anonymous. That's why we needed the name there, okay? But I'm gonna leave that. Okay, Net Promoter Score, and you can see your NPS is 25, right? And so what you want to do if you want to see individual responses, there's a couple of ways. And actually, let me just show you real quick how many responses, the average time, and then the status of this. You can actually print the entire summary, or if you need to share it with someone on your team, you can create a summary link. Love that. But to see individual results, you can click on view results, and you can go through and see the different respondents, and then their names are below, right? And all of their information. There's Tanisha, then we see Michelle Jackson, we see Mike Jones there, and then Tyrone, right? So you can see all of their responses and you can see them individually. You can also use the arrows to arrow through each response. Another way to see the responses are opening in Excel. So if I open in Excel, what this gives me the availability to do is I can actually import this into anything from like a database or reports or whatever you need to do. And you can see all of the information, filter it. This is great for like hundreds and hundreds of rows of data where you need to filter everyone who said that they didn't like it or under a certain score or whatever it is, right? All right, so that's how to use Microsoft Forms. I absolutely love Office 365 because it has hidden gems just like this that a lot of people don't know exist, and it's just free to them, right? If you're looking for training, I am doing live training in Lawrenceville, Georgia. We're just getting started. So I do have an actual survey. You can go to sociallynina.com/take the survey. Now, this survey is dedicated to digital marketing training. However, if you want Microsoft training, you can go through it. And then at the bottom, there's a notes area, and you can just let me know what type of specific training that you want. I am open to training Microsoft, Google, workflows, but I do a lot of digital marketing training. So love to see you live and in person. Ciao.